New tonight, we continue our Fox in Focus Breaking the Cycle series, taking an in-depth look at youth violence.
And we take a look at the mental health needs of the youth in our community and the role members of the community must play in order for us to see some change. According to the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, statewide there's been a concerning shift in the profile of youth admitted to TJJD. In fiscal year 2023, an unprecedented 8%, or 1 in 12, of admitted youth committed murder, and 33%, 1 in 3, had a determinate sentence. At the same time, TJJD saw more higher-risk youth with higher needs. Aggression and mental health treatment needs as a percent of the population are at an all-time agency high.
Like, if we really took a public health approach to this, how different would that lens switch for us?
Dr. Santana Simple is the Executive Director of University Counseling at Texas Southern University.
For me, it's deeply saddening because I think it's a symptom of what's happening in our community as a whole. I do work with adolescents and young adults, and one of the things that I can see is oftentimes with adolescents, it's a reaction to they're experiencing a lot of the things that are happening in the home and in the community, but they don't have the autonomy a lot of times or the ability to change things on their own.
Alongside her, Dr. Tara Green, the chair of the Department of African American Studies, and Jasmine Terry, an entrepreneur and lifelong Houstonian.
I hear the lack of resources, food deserts, information, education, community. So it's definitely, to her point, that it's definitely deeply rooted, so we can't look at it as just one particular thing. I think in a broad aspect of what's going on in the community, what we're lacking is what we also need to be providing at this point. And for me, I think the only way we can have a revolution is to finance it. These kids are needing help.
So what I'm hearing is trauma essentially showing itself in this way. So when we talk about trauma, these are young kids, these are juveniles, these are our future. Where can we start having that conversation?
A starting place has to be home.
Yes.
The parents or whoever the caregiver is, the primary caregiver, they are the first place that anybody who is being parented is going to look so that they can get the advice that they need, the wisdom, the guidance.
But multiple other places as well.
I think it needs to happen at schools, it needs to happen at churches, it needs to happen in the home, it needs to happen wherever there's space for this conversation to happen.
And it has to be a grassroots effort led by the elders in the community who genuinely want to see meaningful change.
And you don't have to be Beyonce to go into the community to have a conversation or to be an impact. This is not something that's new in 2024. Right. This is a deep-rooted issue, right? There's a prison pipeline, and I can go on and on about it, right? And I think it starts in the community. So the city of Houston can't raise your children. The government is not to raise your children. Collectively, as a community, we need to get back into the community and educate, help, and support, right? And demand that this revolution needs to be financed.
Because the parents, just like the kids, are in need of resources as well, even though many may be afraid to ask.
There are certainly times where if people just had a little bit more help in terms of finances, in terms of daycare, in terms of getting information about tutoring that may help a child get from one grade to the other, to pass a course, to pass the tests that they have to take, the standardized tests. If they just had a little bit more information, but people may be a little bit afraid, parents, to ask the question for help.
And we talked for about a half hour. There's so much more to that, and I really would love to share all of it with you, so we put it on Fox Local. But one thing Jasmine said specifically, talked about the revolution being financed, okay? We can sit here, we can have this conversation, we can do all we want, but until there's money behind the initiatives, the resources, and the people on the ground, that was an interesting perspective to really understand that whatever we want to do requires money. So somebody has to fund it. So you're gonna hear her perspective on that and the city of Houston and the role the city plays as well. It's just an awesome conversation, and I think we really have to look at these kids as kids, and have a conversation about the help that they need and provide them with that.
And I think one of the other things that's really enlightening about this is it really does take a village now more so than ever. And so we say it all starts at home, which is true, right? But then there's other places as well. So people watching know that they can still make a difference. And I mean, being a parent myself, I'm learning how much of a village it takes.
It does, you know? And I think, too, lastly, really before we go here, that village, is that 1 block radius where you live? Or do we open up our eyes and we really expand that village and we take care of each other and these kids just outside of our day-to-day? So it's interesting. It's a lot of good conversation, and you can see our extensive reporting and breaking the cycle on Fox Local. If you don't already have it, it takes 2 seconds to download. It is free for your smart TV. And I think we should have a QR code here for you in a second here. You're going to see all the stories that we've been doing so far. We talked about the importance of mentorships, the pipeline to prison, my interview with former Houston Police Chief Charles McClellan, and also how a father and son are coming together and they're turning their lives around and working and giving back to the community and sharing their story. Again, this is all on Fox Local, and we are putting it there because we want to continue to have this very important conversation.